I don't know about you, but whenever I hear news of people dying, first of all, I do feel sorry for them, especially if they are young, like in their mid 20s and all. I think that you haven't really lived as such. It's really a pity that your life is shortened like that, and also if you have been through catastrophic, painful, tragic situations such as accidents sometimes, which are really traumatizing. I just feel sorry for these people. I wonder what must have been their last thoughts or feelings. Like, I wouldn't wish that on anyone. And may their souls rest in peace. Amen. On that note, like, I'm the type of person who likes to think and reflect about life and, of course, death. Life and death are just like two faces of the same thing. And lately, I would say that I have become conscious of that fact that it's your life. And first of all, stop trying to please people at the risk of displeasing yourself, and not just displeasing yourself, but sometimes you drag along through certain situations or jobs or relationships or I don't know, any kind of thing that is draining you of your joy, like that just feels wrong on all levels. But you are so afraid of displeasing others. You're so like you just don't have that guts to say no and to stop. And I think that's actually the most important thing in life. Why do we take this so seriously when we are going to die anyways? So that's why I love to talk about death, because talking about death and the very aspect of death itself, it makes you realize that in the end you are not going to last forever. And I think once you die, like, people might be talking about you a couple of days and then they just move on, life goes on. And sorry to say, but it's true that you are important and you are special, but like for the rest of the world, most likely it doesn't really matter many times. So whatever you have to do, I think you have to really be making the most of your life and every single day. It's easy to say, I know, not that easy to do, but let's just imagine that you really knew that you were going to die tomorrow. I'm sure that you would no longer have any excuses, and you know what to do and what not to do, but you're not doing it. You're postponing because you take it for granted that you're going to live forever. And for example, I myself, I just believe that life is not made only to survive and to be a slave of a kind of routine, a numb routine where you're just mechanically doing certain tasks and just surviving and not really living. There is a huge difference between living and surviving. For those who have watched the movie Eat, Pray, Love, like one of my favorite movies with Julia Roberts, like the story is basically of a woman who feels like, despite having a good husband, despite having a good job and having it all, she just feels unhappy one day and she can no longer live with her husband. And she goes through a series of events and meetings and all of that. That, it's just her quest of finding herself again and appreciating life. And I remember like that moment where she's going to in Italy, and she starts to eat pizza and eat spaghetti, and she's, for the first time since a long time, she's actually tasting the food and enjoying it. So most of us, like, when we take a shower, for example, it's so like, I when I take a shower, I think it's about 1 minute or 2 minutes, but I don't spend forever there. So just to tell you, it's not only a question of choice, but sometimes you're so in a hurry to get things done, and you have no choice really, because you have to, like I said, survive. You have to earn and earn your living and have a job, etc. So of course time is limited, and you try to compact all that you possibly can within those slots, but you're not really living. You're just eating in a hurry, getting ready in a hurry, traveling, and then eating and working and sleeping, and just the same thing over and over again. Of course you're going to feel unhappy, because that's not what life is all about. Most of us are like that, and if you choose to break free from that cycle, of course people will call you crazy. Of course you might feel like maybe it's not right, maybe this is wrong, just because it's different. But yeah, for me personally, like I know each person has something that they love doing, and that I'm sure the more you become adult, you don't have time, or it just becomes difficult to fit in certain things and people in your life as compared to when, let's say, you were a teenager, for example. So I love to do creative things. For me, it's very important that I read books, that I write articles, I write poems, I make paintings, drawings, embroidery, I sing, I dance, I try to create something that's entertaining or inspiring, or just interact with the world. That's very important to me. So I do think that you have to do what feels like. Sometimes you have a fire in your belly, like they say. You have a passion that you just can't ignore anymore. You just feel like you have to do it at any cost because you don't want to have regrets. I personally, for me, the word regret is a very scary thing. Like, I've seen so many people around me in my life who are unhappy. Like, they don't even know why they are unhappy, or they don't even want to accept that they are unhappy. Most likely they have had some regret in the past, or some project or ambition or relationship that failed, and they never really had the guts to go out and try. They just basically chose comfort and that safety, like, of things that they already know, so they just choose to go along with whatever situation it is, even if it's not the ideal, or if it's not like in line with their genuine desires or passion. But I think that's actually the most important thing. Like, why are you trying to conform and to please everyone and to be comfortable when once you die, like, suddenly it's all over? Like, to think that we give so much importance to people's opinions, and we have worries that sometimes we probably exaggerate their level of seriousness, and we create all those kinds of horrible diseases in our own minds, these fears, these anxieties. And then when you hear about people dying, I'm sure that you must have heard, at least in the recent months, news of someone whom you used to know, like they are no longer here. So if you were very close to that person, then you will feel obviously very, very shocked and saddened. So it's really very traumatizing to lose someone to death, and the more you love them, the more it is hard. But the life doesn't end here. I don't believe that just because they died doesn't mean that they are not there. They are still there, they are still alive. They're just not physically here on this world, but they are still there. And I like to think that you might be just being happy in your life, not pursuing your dreams and your passions, and then you die. Like, that's for me the biggest curse or most tragic thing that could happen. Like, for you to die in a state where you are unfulfilled, unhappy, depressed, not following your dreams, living someone else's life, and waiting for one day the chance to happen. So let us just make this effort to stop making excuses and really live according to the philosophy that you have to live today like it's going to be your last day. Because trust me, like, the more time will elapse, the more it will become hard to get out of this cycle in which you are stuck, and you really have no choice but to get out of it if you truly love, respect, cherish, and honor yourself. So I hope that we will be really doing that.